Hi, my name is Harrison Taylor, and this is my AEP 858 Data Analysis and Assessment case study. So there was a lot of information I know in this case study. It's all about this elementary school, Truman Elementary School. It's an elementary school in a suburban community in a Midwestern city. There's 700 students in this school, and they're each by grade level and then preschool. And then also 15% of the school students are free to reduced lunch, and 5% speak a primary language other than English, typically Spanish. The principal, and this is his second year in the district, in the building, and was at another place in the district before this building. The reading levels are a big concern at this elementary school. Students are much lower than the national average in reading, and especially lower in math than in math. So their math scores are quite a bit higher than their reading scores. Students are losing ground as a cohort and as a grade level in reading from year to year. There's been some negative feedback from parents on the reading scores, and then also the principal has asked the district reading supervisor to give a look at the reading scores and what that person sees as well, and also some look at a grant from the state, and then some other things we know. The grant opportunity, there are some requirements that go with that, so it has to be need-based. School has to show they have a need for it. They have to show preparation, so the school has to show that they have an idea of where the reading is at, or where, and have some of that information already. They have to show that they'll be willing to use research-based strategies, and also the school has to show that they have the ability to budget for and to keep the sustainability of what the grant would get going as well. There's also a PTO president letter, which just kind of showed what the parents were thinking, and that they just felt like reading wasn't really being taught, and so that's definitely an issue coming from the parents. And then also the reading supervisor submitted a memo with some information, such as teachers are just using a basal reading program for about an hour a day. Almost all instruction is in the whole group, very little small group or individual instruction. And then the entire class usually receives the exact same instruction regardless of reading level. So not very much differentiation happening, and not very little to no strategic reading. And then also the standardized testing results we have access to, and they show that generally scores are decreasing and not very high by median, cohort change, grade to grade change, and also it shows some matrix scores, math versus reading, that show that the math scores are doing much better than the reading scores overall. Some things that we need to know, that I need to know, are there any outliers as far as, are there teachers that are having a lot of success more than others? Are there teachers having no success? That would be nice. Maybe there are some teachers who are doing really well, some classes that are growing. What are they doing differently? What strategies were used before this principal began at this elementary school? So he's been there 2 years. There's had to have been some things taking place before he was there. Obviously some changes need to be made, but it'd be nice to know what they were doing beforehand. How were the scores beforehand? Have the subgroups been affected more or less than the total group? We've seen free reduced lunch and students speaking different languages. How are these groups doing versus the whole? And then what does the reading data look like in the other elementary schools in the district? There's other schools in the district and in the state. Nice to see how those compare, and then what they're doing in those buildings. Ultimately, the problem is that reading scores and perceptions are much lower than they should be at this Truman Elementary School. So that's ultimately the issue that we're working on. So my plan of action would be, first, I want to consult the reading supervisor, get their recommendations, see if they have any specific things that they think that we should do other than just confirming the problems as a whole, and just get more specific there. That would help. And then also maybe ask them if they think we'd have a chance to qualify for the grant program. I think we definitely apply for the grant program. So we'd want to take those steps. We want to prepare. We'd want to select some research-based strategies we thought would be appropriate, and make sure we have a budget for this new program. These are good steps to take even if we did not receive the grant, so we'd want to make sure that we take them. And then my third step would be to implement some professional development with the staff, working on reading strategies, and then kind of tracking how this goes and grows, and having some formative assessment along with that. So, some of the strategies we would use with the plan would be we'd want to make sure to use demographic, perceptual, and academic data to make the best possible decisions for students. So we'd want to get as much data, put it together, synthesize it as possible. Quite a bit was provided here. And then I would also want to make sure that all stakeholders are involved, especially parents and teachers, make sure we're all on the same page, united throat with the new programming. And then I would also like to include formative assessment data, make sure that we're tracking, going on the right steps, and have more information on a timely basis to check those reading levels. So making sure we're promoting the success of all students. So make sure we do what's best for students. So we want to have the students who have different languages and things like that. We want to work on their reading deficits and using some strategies that will help them, but will also benefit the other students. We want to choose programs that will increase differentiation. That's not something that we're seeing with these teachers, so we want to increase that, and that will help other subjects as well. And then also we want to increase the positive perception of students and parents, and increase self-worth and some things like that. So give the students some confidence, and that will help student success overall as well. I feel that I felt that the principal in this situation was put in a really difficult position. It's only been 2 years. They say usually it takes 3 to 5 at least to really get a grasp on a building. So that's a tough position to be in, obviously, but they do need to make some changes to improve the reading. I do feel like reading is a really important life skill, and so this needs to be a super really high priority for the district. And then I also felt that PTO letter came on really strong, kind of attacking the school. I can understand why, but it was very direct, and obviously they want to see some changes. So. Some unresolved issues we have in this case study. Why are teachers struggling with reading strategies and implementation when it's so important as an elementary school teacher? Seems like something's missing here. Maybe it's just hadn't been emphasized. It's hard to understand. And then are there more district resources that are available that they could use? Maybe the reading supervisor has some more people that they could place in the building and increase. Maybe some district funding is available. That would be really helpful. And then, these are, because it's an elementary school, these are generally the same teachers that are working in math. So what are they doing that they're having so much more success in math? Maybe there's some crossover that, math strategies that would help in reading, or just seeing what these teachers are doing that gives them success, math versus reading, would be good to know. Okay, and then as far as acting as an agent for continuous improvement by engaging families in the community in meaningful, reciprocal, and mutual beneficial ways. So a few ways we do that is being willing to listen to the concerns of parents and children. It's very important. Something that they're voicing their opinions, they need to be heard and make changes. Increasing the reading level of students will definitely increase their trajectory later in life. Be better post-secondary. Obviously, that's a ways away, but just help them as they continue. And then also improving the school reading through reading will help to build community buy-in, increase the overall success of students, and they go out in the community, and those types of things would be really great. So using the data to respond to the community and to communicate to the larger community their concerns about the instructional program. So we need to use the data collected of how students are doing and reading to paint the clearest picture possible. So luckily we do have some of that data, and obviously the parents are getting some of that, and the community as a whole. We want to add formative data that will really help to give updates on how the program is working, how students are progressing. And then finally, we want to have the ability to compare the math scores. The fact that we can do that shows the strength of the school, as well as compares that to the reading scores and adds some context and makes it a little bit easier for the community to understand, which is a positive. And then also, I want to use my knowledge of policies, laws, and regulations that govern the school to influence and bring about positive change in teaching and learning impacts all student groups. So we do that by understanding the resources the district is willing to provide. It's really big. Taking advantage of those. The reading supervisor, really helpful information, and try to get more of that, obviously, to help with the school is really important. Being able to take advantage of state resources such as grants and stuff like that. If you can get, your hands on those, that will increase, what you can do, and, help not spread your resources as thin, which is great. And then reading test scores can impact funding or accreditation, have, big implications for the district. So those are really important. Those are usually tied really closely to the state and how that governs the schools and things like that. Okay, and then having an ongoing dialogue with decision makers outside the school, including, concerning the efforts of teachers and students, and how that influence can improve instruction and student performance. So including stakeholders again in decisions that affect the students helps keep everybody on the same page, united front. Very important to be as transparent as possible. Involving the district leaders can help, to pull in more resources and take advantage of, that bigger circle as far as the district to help out and use the skills of other administrators as well. And then, state having options like grants is just, really awesome to take advantage of. And that can help, for students to have success. And, it's an important skill for an administrator to be able to seek those out. So, obviously it's a very important case study, a lot of data-driven stuff here. And reading scores are just extremely important for schools. So, I appreciate being able to dive into this and be able to put myself in the shoes of the administrator.